My name is Alina. I used to live a quiet, simple life. I was married to a kind man named Joseph. We didn't have a lot of money, but we had peace, love, and trust. We lived in a small town, and Joseph worked as a teacher. I worked at a little shop selling clothes. Life was not perfect, but I was happy until Baltasar Ngonga walked into my life. The first time I met him, I met Baltasar at a business conference in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea. I went there with my boss to help set up our company's small booth. Baltasar was the guest of honor. Everyone said he was powerful and rich, the leader of the National Financial Investigation Agency. He wore expensive suits. He had bodyguards. When he walked into the room, people stopped talking. He was famous, powerful, and respected. I remember thinking, wow, this man looks like he can change lives. I never thought he would change mine, and not in a good way. When he noticed me after his speech, he came straight to our booth. I thought he wanted to talk to my boss. But no, his eyes were on me. "You have a beautiful smile," he said. I was shocked. I didn't know what to say. He asked for my number. I told him I was married. He smiled and said, "I only want to be your friend." I believed him. That was mistake number one. At first, the messages were innocent. "How are you today?" or "Did you eat lunch?" Slowly, they became more personal. "You deserve more in life. Your husband can't give you what I can. You should be treated like a queen." I tried to ignore him. I told him I loved my husband. But he kept trying. Every message made me more confused. My heart started to shake. I started to believe maybe he was right. Joseph couldn't buy me nice things. He couldn't take me on vacations. Baltasar promised he would do all of that and more. One day, the black car stopped outside my work. The driver gave me a box. Inside was a golden necklace and a phone. The note said, "Only the beginning. From your friend." I didn't tell Joseph. I kept the phone hidden. That was mistake number two. Baltasar started inviting me to business dinners. I told Joseph I had to work late. Each dinner became more romantic. One night, he told me, "I love you. I want to marry you. Leave your husband. I'll give you a new life. A better one." I was lost. My heart was torn in two. I didn't want to hurt Joseph, but I had started to fall for Baltasar's words. His power, his money, his charm, it all felt like a dream. I imagined a new life, big house, fancy clothes, traveling the world, and so I left Joseph. He cried. He begged me to stay. He said, "He's lying to you." But I didn't listen. I was blinded by false love. That was mistake number three, and the worst one. At first, everything seemed perfect. Baltasar took me to nice hotels. He gave me jewelry, clothes, and even paid my rent. But he never let me meet his family. He always said, "Soon." He never took me to public events. He said, "The media will go crazy." Then, I noticed something strange. After we slept together, he would leave quickly. Sometimes, I wouldn't hear from him for days. I started to feel like a secret, like I didn't matter. One night, I saw him at a restaurant with another woman. They were laughing. He kissed her hand. I waited until he left, then asked the waiter who she was. "That's his wife," he said. My heart broke into 1,000 pieces. I waited for him at his apartment. When he came, I asked him, "Do you love me?" He laughed. "I like you," he said. "But love? Come on, Alina. Don't be dramatic." I felt like a fool. "You said you would marry me." I say a lot of things. You believed them? That's on you. He walked away. Just like that, I had given up my marriage, my home, my peace. For what? For someone who only wanted one thing and left once he had it. I tried to go back to Joseph. But it was too late. He had moved on. He was hurt deeply. He couldn't trust me again. And honestly, I didn't blame him. I moved to a different city. I found a job as a receptionist. I live alone now. No fancy clothes. No golden necklaces. Just me and my regret. Sometimes I see Balthasar on the news. He's still rich. Still powerful. Still pretending to be a good man, but I know the truth. He used me, he lied to me, he made me break my own home. I still remember that day like it happened yesterday. The day I gave Balthasar my body and my heart. It was the beginning of everything. The moment I crossed a line I could never come back from. Let me take you there. Let me show you how a powerful man can make you feel special just long enough to destroy you. The morning before, it was a Friday. The sun was hot in Malabo, but I didn't feel it. My heart was racing. Balthasar had sent me a message the night before: cancel everything tomorrow. I want to show you something. Just you and me. I remember staring at that message for hours. I knew what it meant. I wasn't a child. I was a married woman, but my heart was already lost. My husband Joseph was at work, making lesson plans, probably thinking I was being faithful. But my mind and my feelings were somewhere else. With someone else, with Balthasar in Gonga at exactly 11 a.m. A long, black car stopped in front of my apartment. A driver stepped out and opened the door for me like I was some kind of queen. I had never felt that way before. Inside the car, there were flowers. Red roses. A soft bottle of expensive perfume. A note: you smell sweet already, but this will make you unforgettable. I smiled like a fool. I forgot about my husband. I forgot about my vows. I forgot about right and wrong. All I felt was wanted. The car drove for almost an hour outside the city, through long trees and quiet roads. Then I saw it, a beautiful, private villa hidden behind tall walls and big iron gates. The guards opened the gates like they were welcoming a princess. I stepped out of the car and walked into a place I had only seen in dreams. The pool was shining like glass. The air smelled like flowers and rich soap. Everything was quiet, peaceful, and there he was, Balthasar, standing near the balcony, wearing a white shirt, holding a glass of wine, looking like someone from a movie. You came, he said softly. I've been waiting. The way he touched me, he didn't grab me like a wild man. No. He touched me gently. He kissed my hand. He looked into my eyes like I was the only woman in the world. He said words I had never heard before: you are gold. And gold should never live in a box. He held my waist and whispered into my ear, I want you to feel everything you've never felt before. My body was shaking. I was nervous, excited, afraid. But more than anything, I felt seen. He took me inside. The bedroom was filled with candles and soft music. He didn't rush. He let me feel safe. His hands were warm. His voice was calm. He kissed me slowly, like he had all the time in the world, and then we made love. It wasn't rough. It wasn't fast. It was deep, emotional. He kissed every part of me like I was art. He told me I was beautiful again and again. He said things like, you don't belong to a small life, you were meant for more. In that moment, I believed him. I believed I had finally found the man who could give me more than just a house and meals. I thought he was the one who could give me a life afterwards. He didn't rush to leave. He held me. We stayed under the soft blankets, and he played with my hair. He said, this is just the beginning. One day, I'll introduce you to my mother. I want her to see the woman I want to marry. How I felt after I had butterflies in my stomach. I was glowing. I felt like I had finally arrived. This was love, I was sure. The kind of love that makes you cry at night just thinking about how lucky you are. When I got home that night, Joseph was already asleep. I looked at him and I felt nothing. I thought, how can I stay with a man who has never made me feel the way Balthasar did today? I had no idea that I was standing on the edge of a cliff. Why, I thought he was a good man. Balthasar didn't act like other men. He didn't beg. He didn't force. He made everything feel like my choice, my freedom. He gave without asking. He looked at me like I was rare. He made promises. Oh, so many promises. I'll never leave you alone. You'll never need to work again. You'll live in a house by the sea. You'll wear diamonds to breakfast. He even told me stories of how he helped poor families, how he stopped corrupt businessmen, how he was changing Equatorial Guinea from the inside. I believed he was a good man. A powerful man. A man with a future, but I forgot to ask myself one question: if he's really a good man, why is he lying to his wife? Why I chose Balthasar, the power of sweet lies. After the first time we slept together, my world was no longer the same. My heart was no longer calm. My marriage, my home, my promises, they all felt like old clothes that didn't fit anymore. You may ask, why did you trust Balthasar so much? Why did you believe him? Let me take you through it. Step by step. Because a woman doesn't just leave her husband in one day. It starts with small things. Small words. Small feelings. And slowly, the heart walks away long before the body does. He spoke to me like I was important. My husband Joseph was a good man. But over the years, he got quiet. He would come home tired, eat dinner, and fall asleep. He never asked about my dreams anymore. He never looked at me like he used to. But Balthasar, he made me feel seen, heard, valued. He asked things like, what's your biggest dream in life? What did you want to be when you were a little girl? Do you know how special you are? Nobody had asked me those questions in years. When I told him I used to dream about opening my own fashion store, he said, then why don't you have one already? I'll help you. You deserve to have your own name on a building. That sentence stayed in my head for weeks. He wasn't just listening, he was dreaming with me. That was powerful. He was a master of romance. Balthasar was not like the average man. No simple good morning messages. No lazy gifts. He made every moment feel like a movie. Let me tell you how he dated me. The flowers every Monday morning, without fail, a new bouquet of flowers arrived at my workplace. Roses, lilies, sunflowers with handwritten notes like, so your week starts with a smile. Beauty deserves to be surrounded by beauty, from the man who dreams of waking up next to you. He didn't take me to normal restaurants. He would rent private rooms. Sometimes, he even asked the chef to cook something that reminded me of my childhood, like my mother's favorite chicken stew. One night, he took me to a rooftop dinner under the stars. Just the two of us. Soft music. Wine. My favorite dessert. He looked into my eyes and said, how can a man sleep peacefully knowing someone like you is with the wrong person? That sentence cut deep. It made me look at my marriage like a mistake. Like I was living a small life when I could be living something bigger. He gave me things I never asked for. A watch I once admired in a shop window, he got it the next day. A dress I mentioned in passing, delivered by a driver. Books I said I loved, sent with bookmarks and sweet notes. He paid attention. He remembered things. He made me feel like every word I said mattered, and most of all, he made me feel like I deserved more. Joseph, my husband, loved me quietly. But love without attention starts to feel cold. And I was tired of cold. Balthasar told me, a woman like you should not be waiting for love. She should be celebrated. She should be respected, honored, and held like treasure. He made me feel like I had wasted my youth waiting for something that would never grow. He convinced me that I had accepted a life that was too small for the woman I had become. He said things like, if you were my wife, you'd never lift a finger. I wouldn't just give you money, I'd give you freedom. I would build you your dream life, not just dream about it. Those words made me look at Joseph differently. Suddenly, his tired eyes and old shirts didn't feel romantic, they felt sad. Ordinary. Not enough. I didn't realize it then, but Balthasar was planting doubt in my heart little by little. And I let it grow. He promised a new life. He told me about houses in Spain, about vacations in Dubai, about opening a fashion store in Bata under my name. He said, I don't want to keep you as a secret. I want to stand beside you in public. I want the world to know you're mine. He said his marriage was only for the public, that his wife and he hadn't loved each other in years. He made me believe I was the real love. The secret, a hidden truth. He promised that he would leave her, that he would marry me, that we would start a new life together, where I wouldn't have to hide. And when someone says they're ready to fight the world for you, you start to think they're serious. I believed him. He was always in control, calm, smart, strong. One of the scariest things about Baltasar was how calm he always was. He never raised his voice, never got angry. Even when I doubted him, he would smile and say, "You don't have to trust me today, but one day, you will. I'll prove everything." That kind of quiet confidence is addictive. He made me feel like being with him was not a risk, but a guarantee, and I wanted that. So I left Joseph. It didn't happen in one night, but over weeks, months. My heart walked away from Joseph and toward Baltasar. I became colder at home. I made excuses. I picked fights. I started saying, "You don't understand me anymore." And finally, one morning, I packed a bag and left. I told Joseph, "I need more than what we have." "I'm sorry," he cried. I cried too. But deep inside, I told myself, "You're doing the right thing. Baltasar is waiting." But I didn't know that Baltasar's love was a game. When the dream became a nightmare, the truth about Baltasar, I left Joseph with a small suitcase, some tears in my eyes, and a heart full of big dreams. I thought I was walking toward a better life, a rich, beautiful life full of love, travel, freedom, and a new beginning. I believed Baltasar was the man who would give me everything I had never had. But slowly, painfully, I started to see the truth. At first, everything was still good. In the first weeks after I left Joseph, Baltasar was kind and loving. He paid for a small apartment for me. He gave me money for new clothes. He visited often. We would eat dinner together, talk for hours, and laugh like teenagers. He said things like, "This is just the start. One day soon, we'll live together. I've already spoken to my lawyer about my divorce. I'm preparing everything, my love. Just wait a little more." I waited. And I waited, but things started to change. He started coming less and less. At first, he came every day, then every other day, then once a week. Then only at night I started asking questions. "Why don't you come during the day anymore? Why can't I call you whenever I want? Why am I still living alone?" He always had sweet answers. "Meetings. Politics. My position is sensitive. We have to be careful." I believed him. I didn't want to fight. I wanted to keep the peace. I didn't want to lose him. So I stayed quiet. That was another mistake. I was always a secret. I noticed something strange. I was always hidden. He never posted me online. He never introduced me to friends or family. He never even took a picture with me. When I asked why, he said, "You are too precious for the public eye." I thought it was romantic, but now I know the truth. I was a secret because I was not the only one. Days became weeks, nights became colder. I would sit in my apartment, looking at the door, waiting for his knock. Sometimes, I waited all night. Sometimes, I cried myself to sleep. I started to feel like a bird in a cage, a beautiful cage, yes, but still a prison. I didn't have a job. I didn't have friends. I didn't even talk to my family anymore. Baltasar had become my whole world. But he was never really there. He was just a shadow. One day, I was walking in the city with my sunglasses on. I passed a fancy cafe and I saw him, Baltasar, sitting with a young woman, holding her hand, smiling the same smile he gave me. I froze. I watched them laugh, just like we used to laugh. Then, I saw him kiss her hand the exact way he used to kiss mine. I felt sick. I left quickly and went home. That night, he came to see me. I didn't say anything. I just looked at him and asked, "Do you love me?" He smiled and said, "More than anything." And that's when I knew he was lying. I started watching more closely. After that, I stopped trusting him. I watched his movements. I checked his stories, his photos, his social media. I searched for names of women he followed. I even created a fake account to see what he posted, and I found everything I feared: messages to other women, comments calling other girls my queen, private meetings he never told me about. He wasn't just cheating on me, he was never mine to begin with. I tried to confront him. I tried to ask him, who am I to you? Was everything just a lie? But he never gave clear answers. Sometimes he laughed and said, "You're being dramatic." Other times he got cold and said, "If you don't trust me, maybe you're not ready to be with someone like me." He turned the blame on me, made me feel like I was the problem, so I stayed again, hoping he would change. The loneliness became pain. After months, I was no longer smiling. I had no husband, no family, no job, no friends. And the man I left everything for didn't even love me. He only came at night. He never made promises anymore. He never looked at me the way he used to. I realized I had left a man who truly loved me for a man who only wanted to use me. The day I broke down. One night, I waited for Baltesa for hours. I cooked his favorite meal. I wore the dress he liked. I lit candles. He never came. I called him. He didn't answer. I texted him, "Are you okay?" No reply. I waited by the window. At 2 a.m., I cried like a child. I looked around the apartment, all the gifts, all the dresses, the perfume, the shoes, and I realized something. I was alone, truly, painfully alone. What I lost because of Baltesa: I lost a husband who truly loved me, a peaceful home, my self-worth, my dreams, my family's trust. My own heart. He promised me gold and gave me dust. He said I was his queen, but treated me like a toy. The worst part. The worst part wasn't that he lied, it wasn't that he had other women. It wasn't even that he never planned to marry me. The worst part was that I chose him. I gave him my trust. I gave him my body. I gave him my future, and he walked away like I was nothing. What I wish I could say to him now, if I could talk to Baltesa now, I would say, "You made me feel like I was special just to throw me away. You dressed your lies in perfume and poetry. You took everything and gave me nothing." I didn't leave the apartment for 3 days. I didn't eat much. I didn't shower. I didn't answer messages. There weren't many anyway, only 1 or 2 from old friends I had pushed away while I was with Baltesa. Even my mother had stopped trying to call. I had disappeared from the world and no one was looking for me, but maybe that was a good thing, because something strange happened in that quiet, something small. Something slow, something real. The first step was a whisper. It was just a thought at first, a soft one, like a whisper inside my head. "You have to save yourself now." I didn't believe it at first. I didn't even know if I could. But the thought stayed with me, and the next morning, I did one small thing. I opened the windows. I let fresh air in. I made tea. I didn't wait for anyone to knock on the door. I didn't cry when the phone didn't ring. It was a tiny thing, but it was the first day I chose myself. I reached out. The second step was harder. I picked up my phone, with shaking fingers, and called someone I never thought I'd call again: my sister. We hadn't spoken since the day I left Joseph. She had warned me about Baltesa. She had said something about him feels wrong, and I had gotten angry. I said cruel things. I blocked her, but now I needed to hear her voice. When she picked up, there was silence. Then, very softly, she said, "Alina." And I broke down. I cried for 10 minutes straight. And all she said was, "It's okay. Come home." I went back to my hometown. It wasn't easy. I packed that same small suitcase I had left with, only this time, it felt even lighter. Not because I had less, but because I had already lost everything. My sister met me at the train station. She hugged me tight. She didn't ask questions. She didn't say, "I told you so." She just took me home, and for the first time in months, I slept without fear. After a few weeks of silence, I did something I wasn't sure I had the right to do. I wrote a letter to Joseph, not to ask him to take me back, not to say, "I miss you," or "I made a mistake." I just wanted to say, "Sorry, here's part of what I wrote. Dear Joseph, you were good to me. Kind. Patient. Loving. I left not because of you, but because I didn't love myself. Baltesa promised me the world, but you gave me something greater: safety, and I walked away from it. I was foolish. Blinded by fantasy. You didn't deserve what I did. And I'll carry that regret for a long time.